Hello friends, welcome to this YouTube video program. Friends, in our earlier program, we have discussed the concept and difference between positivist and non-positivist paradigm. Okay, so you see, for conducting educational research, the approaches, the methods, the data, and the tools that we use, that depends upon certain paradigm, that depends upon certain research approach or research paradigm, and that may be a positivist paradigm or that may be a non-positivist paradigm. You see, the non-positivist paradigm is also called as a humanistic paradigm. So we have already discussed that as you know, when we are conducting educational research, you see, we are using two types of concept. We are using certain you can say empirical concept or certain humanistic concept. Means we deal both disciplines. We deal the discipline of science, at the same time we also deal the discipline of social science. So accordingly, it also reflects in our research. So many research in education that we conduct, that is based upon certain data, certain experimentation, okay, certain scientific observation, and certain research that we conduct in education, that is based upon, you can say, the qualitative data, not the quantitative data. And we do a type of naturalistic inquiry, a social inquiry, a field study. Okay, so that's why you can say that is based upon the non-positivist approach or the non-positivist paradigm or the humanistic paradigm. Okay, so already we have discussed such concept in our earlier program, video program. In this program, categorically we will discuss that how the methods of the study, for conducting educational research, how it got determined by the paradigm, by the approach. Okay, so when you are using a particular methods of the study, so it based upon what paradigm, whether this is based upon the positivist paradigm or whether it is based upon the non-positivist paradigm or the humanistic paradigm. So we will try to understand and we will try to explain it. We will try to illustrate it with giving certain examples, that what are the different types of methods that we follow, that we use for conducting educational research, and it deals with what paradigm, what approach, whether positivist approach or a non-positivist approach. So friends, when we talk about the methods of the study, as we have already discussed in many YouTube videos relating to research methodology and the specific research methods that we follow. So you have already got the idea about the use of research method. Just to recapitulate, you see, we use mostly four types of methods for conducting our research. We use philosophical research, we use descriptive research, we use experimental research, and historical research. Okay, so now we will try to understand that when we are conducting these four types of research, maybe a philosophical, maybe historical, experimental, or descriptive studies, descriptive research, so what type of paradigm we use, what type of approach we use, because the selection of tools and the nature of the data analysis, its interpretation, is fully depends upon the paradigm that you use in your research. Okay, so that's why conceptually you have to explain your research. You have to explain, you have to narrate the detailed procedure of your research, that your research is based upon which approach, your research is based upon which paradigm. So being a researcher, being a teacher, being a student of education, you should be clear about the paradigm that you are using in your research problem. Okay, so let us start our discussion from the philosophical research method. You see, many a time you are conducting a research by using the philosophical method. So here, when you are conducting the philosophical research by using the philosophical method, mostly the data that you get from the research, that is you can say qualitative in nature, that is not quantitative in nature. Okay, So by conducting philosophical research, what you are doing? So here you are studying the great personalities, you can say, the great thinkers, the educational thinkers, those have given certain principles, certain theories in the field of education, and mostly you are studying the vision. You are studying the vision. Let me to give certain example. You see the contribution of Mahatma Gandhi in the field of education. Okay, so nowadays, today also in our education system, in our schooling, we are also using the concept of craft centered education. We are also using the concept of basic education. So that's why the contemporary use or the relevance of educational vision of Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, Swami Vivekananda, okay, even if the Rousseau, the Plato. So here you can say when you are studying the vision of a personality, of a great educationist, so the data that you will get, that is qualitative in nature. Means mostly you will, how you will conduct the study. So you see, you can conduct the study taking the secondary documents, secondary data. Okay, you will visit the library, you will visit the National Museum, and you will visit the National Archive. There you may get certain data, certain contributions, certain writing of the great personalities, writing of the great educationist. Maybe on Rabindranath Tagore, maybe on Mahatma Gandhi, maybe on Sri Aurobindo, maybe on Swami Vivekananda. So what you will do, you have to study, you have to do a type of content analysis, and you have to analyze the vision, you have to interpret, you have to extract that what really Mahatma Gandhi said about education. What should be the nature of education? What should be the what methods should be used in the teaching learning process, and what is the nature of the curriculum? What are the different subjects should be included in the curriculum? Then what pedagogy should be used? What techniques, what strategies, what methods should be used in the teaching learning process? At the same time, how the teachers and students are linked, are related with each other. What type of relationship exists between the teachers and students, and you can say what type of disciplinary practices was practiced in the vision or the documents that have given by different educationists. So here, when you are studying the great personalities, the great thinkers, the great educationists about their vision, to know their relevance in the present education system. So what you are getting a type of qualitative data. So you are reading that data, you are analyzing that data, and you are developing certain narratives, you are describing that data. And you see, when you are doing such type of things, here there is very little scope to get certain quantitative data. Here you are not using any statistics, okay, maybe parametric, maybe non-parametric. So the approach that we follow for conducting a philosophical research is mostly non-positivist paradigm, okay, mostly a humanistic approach. You are using it, you are narrating the things, you are describing the things, okay, you are studying the vision, you are trying to get the vision of one educationist, okay. So that's why so far as the philosophical method and philosophical research is concerned, it is based upon the non-positivist paradigm or the non-positivist approach or the humanistic approach of the research. I think now it is clear. Next, let us try to discuss the experimental study. You see, in education we do a type of experimental study, okay. We prepare two groups. One will be the control group, other will be the experimental group, and we implement, we practice two methods. One will be the you can say your independent method, and other is the dependent method. So what you will do, so we will try to know the effect of the two variables, not two methods, independent variable and the dependent variable. So what you will do, we try to know the impact, the effectiveness, the effect of independent variable on the dependent variable. So what you will do, you have to implement dependent variable upon a group and independent variable upon a group. Mostly independent variable upon the control group and dependent variable upon the independent variable upon the experimental group and dependent variable on the control group. So when you are conducting a type of experimental research, so what we are doing, we are getting certain score of the pre-test and the post-test, okay. the score of you can say in first testing and the second testing, the score of experimental group and the score of control group. So friends, here by using certain statistics, you are studying the impact of let a new method, impact of a method upon the achievement of the students. Okay, so here when we are talking about the data, when we are talking about the quantitative data, and whether there is an effect of an independent variable upon a dependent variable. Okay, so whether there is certain impact, whether there is certain effectiveness of a new methods when we are studying, then we can say we are using the positivist paradigm here. You are not using the negativist, non-positivist paradigm. You are not using the humanistic paradigm. So far as education experimental method is concerned, so here you are using a positivist paradigm. The next, when we talk about the historical method or the historical research, you see in education we also conduct the historical research, and when we conduct historical research, the data that we get, mostly the data is qualitative in nature, and there is very few scope, very limited scope to get the quantitative data. But I am not denying that there is no scope to get the quantitative data. Here also you are getting the scope to quantitative data, but mostly the data that you are getting in the historical research is qualitative in nature. So you see, by conducting the historical research, so what you are doing, you are studying the past events, you are studying the past occurrences, you are studying the you can say different you are studying the development, you are studying the chronology, you are studying the development of education in India, let it after independence or before independence. Okay, you are studying the development of primary education in India, you are studying the development of elementary education in India, you are studying the development of senior secondary education in India, you are studying the development of you can say higher education in India. So you are studying the history, you are studying the development of education in a course of time, over the times, over the decades. So here when you are studying or conducting a historical research, so what you are doing, you are conducting the study, mostly taking the secondary data. Okay, the data that you are getting by using different secondary sources, may be a document, may be a report, may be report of different committee and commissions. Okay, let Mudaliar Commission, Secondary Education Commission, National Policy on Education 1986. Okay, so these recommendations, these reports are available in government website, and this is available in the library. So what you are doing, you are just going through, you are studying these documents, and at the same time, for conducting historical research, you are also visiting the field, you are also observing certain things, you are visiting the museum, you are analyzing, you are studying the different artifacts. Okay, different writings, may be a type of original literature, may be a type of books, may be a type of, you can say, letter that has been written by any person in quite past. So you are analyzing all these things. So friends, you see, as I have already said, when you are using the historical method, means the data that you are getting mostly qualitative in nature. So when you are getting data by using the secondary sources, and which is mostly qualitative in nature, then definitely you can say that this is not, you are not using the positivist paradigm. Okay, so rather you are using the non-positivist paradigm or the humanistic paradigm. Okay, so here also you are narrating the things, you are describing the things, you are illustrating the things. Okay, and you know, by verifying the things from different literature which is available, you are reaching at the findings, you are reaching at the conclusion. Okay, you are reaching at the result. So that's why conducting the method of historical research or the historical method, you can say, that is a type of non-positivist. You are using the non-positivist paradigm or non-positivist approach. So friends, next we will discuss when you are studying a type of you can say descriptive research or descriptive studies. You see, when we conduct descriptive study to know the present status of the problem. Okay, may be a census survey, may be a sample survey. Okay, may be a correlational survey, may be a descriptive survey, may be explorative study, may be a case study. So when you are doing such type of study, you see there is the scope to get here two types of data. Okay, here there is the scope to get both quantitative data as well as qualitative data. So two types of data you are getting. So when you are doing a field survey, you are doing a sample survey, you are doing a sensor survey, you are getting certain quantitative data. Okay, and when you are using the tool like the interview, like the observation, you are getting the qualitative data. And let you are using the questionnaire, when you are using a mixed form of questionnaire, so you are getting two types of data. You are getting certain data which is quantitative in nature and certain data which is qualitative in nature. So friends, when you are conducting the descriptive method, the descriptive study, the descriptive research, means here you can say you are using both types of approaches, both types of paradigms. You are using both positivist paradigm and the non-positivist paradigm or the humanistic paradigm. Okay, you see when you are doing a type of case study, case study means that let any institute, a case study of an institute. So when you are conducting case study of an institute, you see this study is mostly qualitative in nature, but at the same time when you are conducting case study of an institute, definitely you are getting certain quantitative data. So when you are getting the quantitative data, you can say that though it is a part of a positivist paradigm, but case study is mostly come under the non-positivist paradigm. Means in case study you are going deeper to the study, you are analyzing the deeper content, you are analyzing the deeper context of it. Okay, so you are observing, you are going to the field, you are observing the facts. So you are involving yourself very deeply, very minutely with the problem. So that's why in a descriptive method that you are using both the approaches, both the paradigm, both positivist and non-positivist paradigm. But under this descriptive method, you use different types of specific methods also, just like a correlational study. In a correlational study, what you are doing, you are establishing correlationship, you can say, between two variables. Correlationship between two variables. Let achievement is one variable, intelligence is another variable. Achievement is one variable, study habits is another variable. So you are correlating the score of achievement with intelligence. So you have a set of scores of achievement and you have a set of scores of intelligence. So when you are correlating two variables, means what approach you are using here, what paradigm you are using here, definitely you are using the positivist paradigm. Okay, in a correlational study, in a comparative study also. In a comparative study, what you are doing, let you are comparing the result of boys and girls, comparing the result or the scores that you have received in your research. Okay, the data that you have received in your research from the urban students and from the rural student, from the government school and the private school, from boys and girls. Okay, and you can say from different strata of the society. So what you are doing, so you are just by using certain statistics, like you are using the t-test to know the significance difference between average scores or the mean scores of two groups, maybe boys and girls. Okay, maybe rural and urban. So here, or maybe from different socio-economic background, maybe have you can say high socio-economic background and low socio-economic background. So when you are doing such type of things, you are using certain statistics. Okay, so statistically you are analyzing the data. Okay, maybe by using a correlation to know the relationship between two variables, or by using a t-test to know the difference between two groups, or by using a chi-square test to know the difference between two frequencies, two numbers, okay, two observations. So when you are using maybe a chi-square test, maybe a t-test, maybe a type of correlation or other types of statistics, you can say that you are using a positivist paradigm here. You are using a positivist approach here. You are dealing the scores. So by interpreting the scores, you are reaching at the findings. Okay, so here you are not getting any qualitative data. Again, when we talk about the explorative study or the case study that I have already discussed, so what you are doing, you are going to the field, you are observing the fields. Okay, you are doing in a natural setting, in a natural setup. So what you are doing, you are observing the things, what is going on. So that is mostly non positivist in nature. That is mostly we are using the non-positivist paradigm. So friends, you see, so far as methods of research is concerned in education, it based upon certain paradigm, it based upon certain approaches. Okay, so when we use the philosophical method, we use a non-positivist paradigm. When we use the descriptive research, under descriptive research, when specifically descriptive method, we are using maybe a sample survey, maybe you can say your census survey. So both types of paradigm we use. If you are getting the data, then you can say a quantitative data, we use the positivist paradigm. And when we are interviewing the person, interviewing the subject and going deeper to it, to know the fact, to know the evidences, to verify it, then you can say you are also using the non-positivist paradigm, the humanistic paradigm. And in a comparative study, that is also under the descriptive research, maybe a comparative study, maybe a correlational types of study. So here you are getting certain valid data, certain authentic data. Okay, that means quantitative data, and you are using certain statistics to interpret, to analyze that quantitative data. Okay, maybe correlation, maybe t-test, maybe ANOVA, maybe ANCOVA, maybe a chi-square test. So when you are using such statistics to analyze the quantitative data, then here you are using the positivist paradigm, not the non-positivist paradigm. And in an explorative study, in a case study, mostly you are using the non-positivist paradigm. And friends, especially in the experimental research, so specifically you are using the positivist paradigm, because in an experimental study you are getting only the quantitative data. Here there is no scope of doing any qualitative data. Okay, you are not getting any qualitative data. So that's why you are not doing any interview, you are not doing any observations. So that's why it is based upon the positivist paradigm or the positivist approach. And when you are studying the historical research by using the historical methods, so here what you are doing, equally you are using the non-positivist paradigm or the humanistic paradigm. Here also you are getting mostly the qualitative data. You are analyzing the content, you are analyzing the documents, okay, which is already available. So friends, as per different methods of the study that we follow, that we use in educational research, it is based upon certain paradigm. It may be on the positivist paradigm or the non-positivist paradigm, or non-positivist paradigm is also called as the humanistic paradigm. So being a researcher, you should understand it better, so that if you, first of all, as a researcher, if you are not able to understand your research problem, whether it is based upon the positivist paradigm or the non-positivist paradigm, then it will be difficult for you to conduct this study, to design your study, to use the tool, to get the data, to analyze the data, to use the statistics. Okay, so better from the very beginning you should be clear about the specific approach or the paradigm that you are using in your research, basing upon the nature of the problem. Okay, so in our next program we will discuss some other aspect of education and educational research. Thank you.